Eric Idle, welcome back to Australia.
Thank you.
You've been coming here for years, in fact. You know us pretty well, and you've been making us laugh for years as well. What makes you laugh about us? What do you find funny about Australians?
Well, Australia's one of the nicest places. I live here at the drop of a hat. I mean, I've been coming since 1976, so there's quite a lot that's funny about Australia since then, including politicians disappearing into the surf and being eaten by sharks and all that. So I've known it very well. In fact, my first wife was a Sheila. My current wife, of course, my trainer wife, was a Sheila. And so I was married to her, and then I hadn't even visited Australia. So I came in '76, and I just thought it was just a wonderful place.
Sheila's a great Australian name.
It is.
As is Bruce.
As is Bruce, indeed.
You had a famous, you and John Cleese famously wrote the sketch, The Bruces.
I know.
Which was the very ochre, everyone was called Bruce.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
Well, I think we must have nicked it from Barry Humphries, because he had a thing on called Barry, Barry Mackenzie. He was very funny about that. So, but I think it was our view of Australia all came from Barry Humphries in London, because we've never been.
Good day, Bruce.
Oh, hello, Bruce.
How are you, Bruce?
Big crook, Bruce.
Where's Bruce?
It's not here, Bruce.
Blimey, it's hot in here, Bruce.
It's hot enough to boil a monkey's bum.
That's a strange.
So our views were different. It was a long way away. Don't forget, the cricketers came by bus. I mean, not by bus. They came by boat.
By ship.
Six weeks it took to get the Test match team to England, and we follow it all the way along.
Well, you're here now for a tour called Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. Live. So I assume you're going to be performing the song. It'd be somewhat disappointing to turn up and not hear the song, right?
No, sure.
Always look on the bright side of life. Always look on the light side.
And what does that song mean for you now? This was something you wrote. It was, it's been synonymous with you for years and years. What does it mean for you now?
Well, it took on a life of its own, and it's been nothing but a lovely delight. I mean, sailors started to sing it in the Falklands War when the ship was being hit by missiles and sinking. They sing "Always Look on the Bright Side." People took it on, and now it's become the #1 funeral song in England.
It's fabulous.
So everybody has it at their funerals, which is great, except they don't pay any royalties.
Oh, well,
But
that is a shame.
I think it's nice. So to me, it means a lot. I sang it at the Olympics before 2 billion people. I've sung it for monarchy. I've sung it for the crowned heads of Europe. I've sung it everywhere in various different costumes, and it means a lot.
And you wrote it for the life of Brian.
I wrote it to end the life of Brian because we didn't know how to end the film.
Right.
Everybody was heading for crucifixion. So I said, well, why don't we sing a song? A cheery-uppy song, like Looking on the Bright Side, and a whistle, like a Disney song.
And I heard you wrote it very quickly.
Yes, because, I pretty well, when I pitched it, I pretty much said all the things about it. It'd be a Disney song, and be always looking on the bright side, there'd be a whistle. And so I went home and I just went, da-dum, da-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. So I wrote a little whistle, and then from there I just wrote the song. It sort of seemed to flow quite naturally.
That film, just looking back on it, it's religious satire. Is that how you'd best describe it, or how would you?
I think it does tell people to be individuals and to watch out for. It's about followers, really. It's a tragedy. It's about a tragedy about a man who's mistaken for a Messiah, and he can't get rid of them. They keep following him,
Nonetheless, it was somewhat controversial. It was banned in a lot of places at the time.
It was controversial. They made it a big hit in America by banning it, and they would pick it outside Warner Brothers, saying, Warners are the agents of the devil, and that's wrong. That's William Morris has got that particular job, So by picketing and making a fuss and putting it on the news, they made that show a hit.
Was that an early form of cancel culture?
I think they failed if it was, because they would ban it in some states, and the next state would go and see it.
Let's go back to where your comedy comes from, because your childhood, correct me if I'm wrong here, you're born during World War II. Your father wasn't killed during the war, but on the way home from war, is that right?
Right, he was hitchhiking. They told the RAF it was Christmas time. They said, don't use the railways because everybody would be travelling. Hitchhike, because everybody stopped for the boys in blue. And he did. He got a ride on a truck on the back of a lorry, and There was an accident and the metal shifted, and he died on Christmas Eve. I know.
So you grow up without your dad. How does someone in what must be a crushing experience like that in many ways find comedy and wit and humour? Where does that come from?
Well, I was in a boarding school from the age of 7 till 19. And so you're with a bunch of boys. And I thought a lot of the boys also had no fathers. So that makes it really doubly peculiar because the RAF paid for our education. And so I think it was a very bizarre environment, but it prepared me to work with a group of weird boys, like on Python. So, and also I think that was kind of, I think you learn about life in a sort of bitter way. You make your own fun. You realise that people aren't necessarily telling you what's good for you.
You had great success with the Spamalot musical, of course, and on Broadway in London,
Right.
and then years later, the Spamalot Diaries. Where did that come from?
Well, it's odd because we were moving out of our house 2 years ago. I call it Downsize Abbey. You get to that certain stage of life where you have to get into an area where you don't have stairs, and you've got all this junk. You've got. I went to boarding school. My wife went to hoarding school, and you can't make them get rid of it. And so I found the diaries that I've been keeping in 2004.
Through writing the
All
musical,
while
the production
writing and working on this, creating this Broadway musical with Mike Nichols, director, and Tim Curry and various, the cast and everything. And, sometimes you didn't know it was going to be a hit. That's what's the excitement about a diary. You're in the now. You're depressed, you're fed up, you're angry, and that so comes out in all of that.
Now, the King arrives here in Australia tomorrow.
Yes.
You may be the opening act for the King. But you've known King Charles, or Prince Charles as he was.
Prince Charles, I knew. He'd come. We would always go and stay with Billy Connolly's in Scotland in the summer, and very close to Balmoral. And there'd be people like me and Robin Williams and Steve Martin and Eddie Izzard, and he would find out. Charles would find out we were. He said, "Oh, you've got some funny people. Can I come over?" And he'd come over for dinner, and then we'd just rip him. We'd rip his arse. We'd just make it laugh, all about him. And he'd laugh and laugh and laugh. And of course, it's very healthy because people have been treating you like royalty.
So what's
wait. And he said to me, "Eric, why don't you be my jester?" And I said, "Why would I want a job like that?" And he laughed, because that's what a jester's job is. It's to remind you of your own mortality and that you are funny too.
So what's his sense of humour? He doesn't mind jokes at his own expense?
Well, I think there's certain appropriate times. I think people are frightened. They approach him timorously. And I think he was at Cambridge. He did comedy at Cambridge. He stood in a bin and did some Spike Milligan bit. So, we were all at Cambridge. I just found him, he was perfectly nice and pleasant and like a human being, it's nice.
The King's impressive, but that list of people at the dinner party you mentioned is also
it was
pretty impressive.
We'd have the most fun, and we'd all dress up in kilts and have ceilidhs and dance and everything, and it was great.
Are these some of the? You're a comedy legend. Are these some of your favourite comics as well that you're talking
Absolutely. Robin Williams was so funny and a great friend. Steve Martin still's a great friend. It's natural you sort of congregate near people who do what you do.
Yeah. You've lived, however, in the US for
Yes.
around 30 years or so.
Yeah.
I notice you're not there, though, while the election is going to be taking place.
Damn, I hate it. It's been going on for 14 years, this election, and every programme is all about people's opinion, this, maybe this and that. And I'm not a citizen. I don't elect. I'm not an elector. And I find it completely boring and a bit scary.
Well, you're going to be on stage doing what you want and delivering the comedy that we all love. How important is that for you, to have that live interaction with an audience? Is it something you ever tire of?
No, I don't. I've always tried to keep at least do 1 or 2 shows a year to keep, because if you want to face that fear a little bit, you know, you've got to face it, and they're going to laugh. Can you make them laugh? And I think that's a sort of healthy thing. And I'm looking forward to doing something slightly different. I've got a virtual band with me coming on the road. Yeah, they're much cheaper than real musicians. I've got them on screen, and they're behind me, and I play along. You know, it's I'm hoping to have a virtual symphony orchestra next time I come. But virtual, you know, I was just asked to be on a virtual Michael Parkinson show they're doing in England.
How does that
The
work?
AI Michael Parkinson. Would you come and answer questions?
What did you say?
And I said I'd send a virtual Eric Idle to answer the questions.
Sounds fair. That sounds fair. Well, Eric Idle, wonderful to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.